Hey Soul Bridge Tribe, it's Julie over here, getting ready to make another video with you. This one's going to be a little bit complicated because it's on the Ephemeris, how to use and find your Ephemeris reading, your information. So you're going to need to get a notebook and prepare to write things down. Either that or open a Word document or an open office document and get ready to cut and paste information. It's going to be a little bit complicated. So the Ephemeris is based on your location in time and space at the moment that you were born. You passed into this energy, just like an egg in a chicken that's rolling down the duct, and as it does, it's rolling and rolling and rolling in calcium and getting a shell. Then it rolls through something that colors the shell. Then it rolls through another thing that creates this bloom over the top of the egg to protect it. And then it rolls out and it starts to dry. At the point where it rolls out, it's getting that bloom. That's your energy bloom. That's what you're getting over you. And that thing, that exposure is like the millisecond shot when your camera takes a picture of the sky and goes like what the size of those leaves were in space and time, right? In fact, someone can look at dirt, or they can look at a leaf, or they can look at a plant. They can look at its DNA and they can say, this thistle off of this plant is known to this part of the country and was specifically located on this lot connected to these little plants right here. These are the only ones with this DNA. That's how specific this snapshot is of you in time and space. It is connected to your life path. It is connected to your life mission. There's nothing random about why you're here. If you look at every spot on Earth, like any spot that you can name, okay? Let's just say the 6 houses that are around me. Every single person in it is a different race, different color, different gender, different, unless we're all born exactly the same date. Let's talk about what the Ephemeris is. Let's give it a definition first. According to my notes, it is an astrological almanac. And it never really said in there that's for astrology. It is used for astrology, but it's a deep dive. So it is used to track planetary movements and planetary bodies. So a publication giving the computed places of heavenly bodies for each day of the year with other numerical data. The numerical data will be every second of every day, and it'll go back to like the 1800s. I don't know when they first physically started to compute or write down. You know, have you ever taken this math test when they say 19 take away 2 is 17, 17 take away 2 is 15, 15 take away 2 is 13, and you can compute backwards like that? They can compute backwards and figure out in the 1700s, you know, when Picasso was born, or when certain people were, Louis III or King James, when they were around, what planets were in the sky. The only thing that's missing is you have to know the time a person's born. You can create a sort of a vague idea like astrology that just goes, oh, you were born January 10th. Well, it's not enough, because January 10th of what year? And January 10th in the morning or the evening? January 10th in what city? Because you know, this ball is turning through space, and as it does, okay, these guys are in the morning, but these guys are in the evening, right? So at what point on this turning ball were you exposed to the sunlight or the moonlight? Which part of this energy were you exposed to? So people in Utah or people in New York are being exposed to sunlight at different times. People in India and people in California are being exposed to January 10th at completely different times, because January 10th might be a whole nother day later for the other side of the world. We're not exposed to exactly the same moment in time. We're all exposed to completely different planets. You know, even when they said, oh, look, there's going to be eclipse. In this state, they go, we can see it. In that country, they go, we can't see it. In another country, they go, oh, yeah, we see it beautifully. We're seeing the aurora borealis. In another country saying, we can't see that at all, because on different parts of this ball that we're floating on, we're seeing different things. We're not all getting the same exposures, not even the same soil, not even the same air. The minerals that affect your disposition, that cause you to have certain kinds of mood, that even affect skin color. People who have a lot of silver, like the guy who OD'd on colloidal silver and he turned completely blue, they actually say that when they talk about Krishna and the blue people that were here, did they come from a planet with a lot of silver on it? Because they apparently lost the silver tinge and now they're brownish looking people from India. So because the minerals in the diet changed, right? Where you're at has a lot of influence on what you look like and who you are. But even these people who are around me, we're all going to the same farmer's market, we're all drinking the same water, we're getting exposure to the same kind of vegetables that are being delivered to the same stores that we shop at. We're eating similar foods in our area. Okay, so each year is different, each minute anywhere on Earth is different. Those are some key points. I'm going to be looking at my laptop because I have a bunch of screenshots I took, and while I'm talking to you, I'm going to ask you to open another tab and put two tabs side by side on your computer screen so that you can do this as I'm showing it to you. So I'm going to show you screenshot number 2. Screenshot number 2 is horoscopedates.com/ephemeris/. Okay? And the screenshot is so you can spell it correctly and you can get to that website. My screenshot number 1 then shows you what is on that page. Ephemeris. Use the following calculator to get the star sign, planet, zodiac signs, etc., etc. And you can see that it has a blank for filling it in. Then I have my screenshot number 3, which shows it filled in. Oregon, Ashland, here's a date, here's a time. If you can find out your time, it would really help. If not, you're going to have to kind of play around with the results a little bit, entering different times until you get what looks like you, because you're going to be able to read it and go, oh, yeah, that's me all right. And then screenshot number 5, I have an example. It says, here are your planets at this time. Your Sun was in Capricorn, your Mercury was in Capricorn, your Venus was in Pisces, your Moon was in Scorpio, your Mars is in Cancer. This is not an Ephemeris book. It's just a printout on the website. I would advise you to save that information right there. Screenshot the page, print out the page, or copy and paste it, or write it all into your journal, because that right there is priceless. And for somebody to do an Ephemeris reading for you, I've seen them charging $150, but that's the basic information that you need. It had some other things about nodes and trines, and it goes into other stuff, but you need those basic planets all the way down to Pluto. So I do a screenshot number 6, where I show all the way down to Pluto. Your Pluto was in Capricorn, your Neptune was in Pisces. And it tells you what house, too, because those houses, I'm not really good with astrology, but in the 3rd house, and the 5th house, and the 7th house, that all means something, so you're going to want to look that up, too. Okay, in screenshot number 7, I'm actually showing Jupiter in the 11th house signifies an expansive social circle, leadership, and groups, creativity, potential financial gain through friendships and networks. This placement brings a charismatic, generous personality, a strong desire for recognition, the ability to inspire others, right? So somebody says, you're such a clown, were you born that way? Yeah, you were. Look at that. Look at that placement right there. You were destined to be a stage hound, somebody that inspires others, someone who stands before an audience. That is your life path. And so if you say, I have this desire to be an actress, I want to be in theater, I have this desire to stand before audiences, I'm really good with public speaking, you were literally born that way. You were designed for that. That is your life path. You were destined to be that way. I have a screenshot also called my number E7. Jupiter in the 11th house Well, that's probably the one I had. Charismatic and influential, you're liable to be popular and well-liked, a natural ability to attract people, confidence and generosity. So, if you look up people like Jeffrey Dahmer, it'll say something like a reserved, cautious person who doesn't know how to communicate well and is suspicious. Those kinds of things will be. So here's the point. Were serial killers born or made? Well, I'm looking at a young man whose last name was Beaver. He's literally on TV. He was in Oklahoma, and he tried to kill every member of his family, and he tried to burn the house down and kill his brother too. And they asked, why did you do it? And he goes, I've always been fascinated with killing. My parents don't like guns, but I was always fascinated by guns. I started mail ordering guns and armor and ammunition. So he really had that mindset and a very dull kind of speech, a dull kind of character. I bet you could look up his birth information and find out this was his life path. He was born into a family of domestic violence, and they were physically, mentally, emotionally abusive toward him. So doesn't that create a life path? So when they say, were you born this way or was it your environment? Well, you chose that environment to help you to be formed into that kind of person. So yeah, you were born that way because you were born into that life path. So if you look back at one of my other videos with Lucifer's team, how Lucifer works, yes, you can be batting for the other team. There are people who are born in to be negative, to be treading in darkness, to be creating darkness. Because remember, it's about free will. And Lucifer is a fallen angel. And his mission, his job, was to lead people astray and to make people have bad choices. So yes, if someone's batting for Lucifer's team and they're born with that life mission, they're coming in as a contrast to our goodness, to what we're doing on God's team, working with the Christ consciousness, working with light building, working with trying to make a more sustainable, positive society. Look what Soulbridge does, just Soulbridge Holistics. Everything that I'm doing to try and awaken the population, to empower individuals, to help you understand what your life path is all about. Do look up your Ephemeris information and start a notebook on that. And every time you say, why me? Or what does this have to do with my life path? Why does this feel so wrong right now? Go back and look at your Ephemeris, and you'll be surprised that everything about you, even the job that you chose, the majors that you chose, who you married, whether or not you were going to have children, I mean, that's all in your life path, right? A person who lacks social skills and is germ-phobic may not get married and may not touch another person. There are literally people walking that life path who choose not to engage in any physical intimacy with other people. And that is part of their life path choice. I don't want to reproduce. I don't want to get married. I'm not talking about me, right? I am describing my daughter, however, and she has autism. And part of that is kind of a social distancing, social anxiety, discomfort with other people, discomfort with the idea of germs, sound sensitivity, touch sensitivity, texture sensitivity. Was she born that way? Absolutely. Was her gut microbiome altered to make her autistic? Absolutely. Did the shots cause it? Most likely. Is this part of the life path? Probably. The fact that I birthed her in this one city where I would take her to this clinic for her baby shots with this one doctor who would inject her with stuff that had that adjuvant to kill her microbiome and damage the microbiome in the brain. Is that part of her life path? Apparently, because it made her the person that she is today. So your life path involves also putting you in circumstances where you will interact with certain people that were meant to be on your life path, and certain conditions will be met. Like your car will break down today, which will cause you to meet who will be your future spouse. I mean, those kind of things. Or I've had several almost accidents where I have spirit guides and angels with me, and they alert me to things. they'll say, look in your look in your rearview mirror. I look in my mirror, and there's a guy who's weaving erratically, and his car is going too fast for the red light we're coming up on. And so I took an abrupt right turn to grocery outlet, and I watched him go right past me and smash into the car that was in front of me because I moved out of the way, and it would have been me. So was an accident on my life path? Yes. Did I avert it? Yes. Because my consciousness is raised. I'm alert. I'm working with my spirit guides. Was this part of my life path? Yes. There's a very good chance that if I had not been paying attention, if I wasn't doing my homework like I am, that could have been me that got hit. But it wasn't on my life path to be in an accident, to end up on a stretcher, or having a near-death experience, or be in a hospital having my leg amputated. That is a life path for some. And then they end up being role models for other people who have disabilities. Everything that you do. Remember how Steve Jobs said, every art class I took helped me make the font, and now you benefit? Well, everything that you do, negative or positive, benefits the collective. It all becomes part of the Akashic Records. It becomes part of the blueprint for our earth, our civilization, our knowledge base, our moving forward. So many people have learned from watching catastrophes or life stories of other people. So many people have benefited, not like I have to be in an accident, but I understand how to avert an accident, how to be a driver who's very cognizant of focusing and looking around and actively scanning my environment. It's not paranoia or fear that makes me do it. It is the want to be competent and present and in charge of my life path. I'm making choices. In fact, you're making hundreds of choices every second. So if I'm sitting here with my arms crossed, if I'm not wearing a sweater, the lighting in the room, the fact that I'm sitting next to a window, you'll notice sometimes that the sun keeps going in and out as the clouds come in, so it gets darker and lighter. That you can thank God for that, because I'm not doing the weather here. It's a fall day, and it goes from hot to cold rather rapidly, all by itself. So it's giving me some very interesting video effects. Anyway, this is your introduction to Ephemeris. Please make a comment below if you found the Ephemeris information helpful, and if you are writing out your life path and you suddenly get an aha moment and going, I was wondering if I should switch to that job, and I guess that I should, right? You know what it outlined on my light path? It said, you're a healer, you're a teacher, you're good with technology, you'll probably make video productions or stand on a stage somehow. You are kind of introverted, you prefer being with yourself, but you like one-on-one groups and you like teaching to individuals. It just laid it out for me. You're good with healing work, you're good with social work, you're good with basically all the things I've been doing all this time. It also said you have a fascination with beginnings and ends, which I do. Raising baby chicks, working with funeral services, working with hospice. This is the beginning and the end of the life, right? It's the beginning of life and the end of life. I could have been a baby doctor. I probably would have been good at that. I could have gone into hospital, but I did not want to wear the white lab coat. I didn't want to be working, that's going to catch up with me later, because I'm in a funeral services major, so I will be doing embalming and working with a crematory and working more. As I'm aging, I'm learning more about that spectrum, that end of life spectrum. Part of that is also the crossing over portion, the portion where people have seen their relatives in the room. They've seen angels in the room. This one guy says, I kept looking toward the TV, and he goes, I have a thing in my mouth, I can't talk, but I keep looking at people, because toward the TV, something is definitely standing there and watching me all that time. I found out it's an angel because I was just about to cross over at that point. And that's when he had some sort of a heart attack or something right there on the spot. It took them 6 minutes to resuscitate him and bring him back. And he had a whole life view and met Jesus and walked the whole other side and had a complete near-death experience before he came back. A very changed person, radically changed ideals about his life and his path and why he's here. And it was basically all spelled out for him on the other side. What he's supposed to be doing different, how he should be going back to who he thought he'd be as a child and get that trust and love and that sense of peace back that he lost. So as you can imagine, being a light worker, being luminous, being filled with the light path that we walk, has the ability to have you influence others, to help other people with their life path clarification. I do guidance. I do one-on-one work with life path guidance for people. The mini book series that I'm making that will be on my YouTube channel's store to be purchased. Those are also in process right now. Lots going on. All right. Sorry to ramble on and on, but you guys all have a blessed day. Like, share, subscribe, make a comment below. We'll see you again.